welcome back to my channel. And if you are visiting this space for the first time, you are also highly welcome. In this lecture, we would be highlighting the differences between intramembranous ossification and also endochondral ossification. I've put up the lecture on bone ossification. If you've not checked that lecture off, please kindly go and do so. But for the purpose of this class, we will be putting the differences between these two types of ossification in a tabular form, so that it will be easy for us to highlight in case we are asked during examination. So before we drive through highlighting the differences between intramembranous ossification and also endochondral ossification, let's try and highlight the similarities between these two processes. These two processes involve the same types of cells. We have the osteoblasts and also the osteocytes. We know that these two types of cells are bone cells and they are involved in these two processes. These same type of cells are also involved in the same function. We know that the osteoblast is responsible for synthesizing extracellular matrix, and the osteocyte is known for digesting the extracellular matrix. These functions of these two types of cells are also exhibited in the two processes. These two processes also involve the formation of the same type of structure, which is bone. So at the end, intramembranous ossification and also endochondral ossification will form bone. So this is the similarities between these two processes. Now let's go further, where we'll be highlighting the differences between these two types of ossification processes. So before we drive through the differences between the intramembranous and also endochondral ossification, let's try and summarize the basis behind these processes. For intramembranous ossification, it is a type of ossification that begins from mesenchymal cell that originates from the mesoderm during the intrauterine life, transformed into the osteoprogenitor cell. And this is what is highlighted here in white. So this is the osteoprogenitor cell. You see that this cell is flat. This osteoprogenitor cell will then later be transformed into the osteoblast. And this is the osteoblast here, highlighted in green. This osteoblast is seen to be cuboidal in shape. If you try to compare the shape of the osteoblast and the osteoprogenitor cell, you see that the osteoprogenitor cell is flat, while the osteoblast is cuboidal in shape. And this cuboidal nature creates a larger cytoplasm. This larger cytoplasm is what supports its high metabolic activity, because within it, we have more space for more cell organelles that are involved in metabolic activity. So this osteoblast is responsible for producing or synthesizing extracellular matrix. So this cell will secrete extracellular matrix around itself, and this will form the structural component of bone tissue. If you try to use this image at this lower region that is highlighted here in yellow, this region that is harrowed here in blue is the outer region of this bone. And this structural is made up of a compact type of bone. We know that bone can be in compact form or the spongy form. We also tried to highlight this in detail in our previous lecture on bone. We said that compact bone are seen in the outer margin of bone, and they are compact because the bone tissues are tightly held together. If you look at this structure where this arrow is pointing, this is the osteome or the Herbaceous system. This is the structural arrangement that is seen within the compact type of bone. We have a concentric arrangement of bone tissue that are referred to as lamellae. This structure here are seen to be compacted together. And this is why we see that the compact type of bone is hard. This hard presentation is as a result of the tightly bound or tightly arrangement of the Herbaceous system. And this is why also the teeth can hardly bite through this type of bone, because there are no space created within it. But if you go at the central region where we have the spongy type of bone, if you look deep through this arrangement, you see that the bone tissue here are loosely packed. And this is why you have an irregular arrangement of bone tissue referred to as trabeculae. So you have a spongy arrangement here where the bone tissue are loosely packed. And this is why you see a number of spaces within them. And this is why we say that the spongy type of bone is soft and also light. And this is why also the teeth can bite through it, because we have spaces within it through which the teeth can run through. So you see that bone can exist in compact or spongy form. So upon the production or the synthesis of the extracellular matrix by the osteoblast, it will then go further to be arranged in specific pattern depending on the type of bone to be formed, whether it is a compact type of bone or a spongy type of bone. After this process, this bone tissue will become mineralized, which will lead to the hardness of this arrangement. Then there's further infiltration of blood vessels that will be providing oxygen and nutrients to the bone tissue. Some of the osteoblasts will then further be transformed into the osteocytes. This is the osteocyte here, highlighted in red. This is what the osteocyte looks like. You can see that the osteocyte is smaller in size. This osteocyte is not involved in the synthesis or production of extracellular matrix. The production of extracellular matrix is solely by the osteoblast, but the distinct feature that it presents is extensive cytoplasmic extension. And it is through this extension that osteocytes will connect with the other osteocytes. And this is why they will help in maintaining the extracellular matrix that is already formed or produced by the osteoblast. So you see that they are more involved in maintaining or reinforcing the extracellular matrix, while the osteoblast is responsible for producing or synthesizing the extracellular matrix. So each of these cells, as they become transformed from one form to another, assume different functions, all in the quest of forming a bone tissue. So this is the basis or the summary involved in intramembranous ossification. For endochondral ossification, if you try to drive deep through the name endochondral, it means an ossification of bone that exists from an already established cartilaginous model. Endochondral, chondral is cartilage. So you have this feature here, and at this point here, you have a cartilaginous model arrowed in black. This model of cartilage is what will gradually be replaced by bone. And this is how it runs from one form to another before you have the final formation of bone tissue. So these are the bases of intramembranous and also endochondral ossification. So now let's drive through in highlighting the differences between these two processes. For intramembranous ossification is seen usually in flat bones. So this type of ossification is seen to exist in flat bones that are seen in the skull. We know that the skull is made up of patches of bones that are joined as sutures. We have the frontal bone, we have the temporal, the parietal, and also the occipital. These bones are flat bones, but are joined at sutural points. And this is where they form a circular alignment that is referred to as the skull. We also have flat bones in the face, the viscerocranium, and also the clavicle. So these bones are formed from intramembranous ossification, while endochondral ossifications are formed from long bones and also irregular bones. And this includes bones of the limbs. An example of these are the humerus, the radius, and also the ulna. We also have the ribs and also the vertebrae. So we have different types of bone exhibiting different types of ossification. And we've tried to highlight this using this table. Also for intramembranous ossification, it is formed directly from mesenchymal cell. Remember when we started this lecture, we described the summary of intramembranous ossification, and we said that we have a template of mesenchymal cells that have been transformed into the osteoprogenitor cells. So intramembranous ossification is formed directly from the mesenchymal cell that will further be transformed into the osteoprogenitor cell, which will later develop into the osteoblast, then osteocytes. We've tried to highlight this previously. And endochondral ossification is formed from cartilaginous model. We know that cartilage exists in form of hyaline, fibro, and also elastic cartilage. But the type of cartilage that will be creating model in endochondral ossification is hyaline type of cartilage, in case we are asked this during examination. So this model is created and will gradually be replaced by bone tissue. So we can say that the intramembranous ossification does not need cartilaginous template, while the endochondral ossification needs cartilaginous template for it to be transformed into bone tissue. If you also compare the processes that are involved, intramembranous ossification is shorter because it is formed directly from mesenchymal cell that will be transformed into the osteoprogenitor cell, which will later form the osteoblast, then the osteocyte. But if you go back to endochondral ossification, there is an initial template that is created, which will also take a process. So if you compare the process of forming the cartilaginous model to where the cartilaginous model will finally be transformed into bone. It takes a longer process. So if you try to compare the two processes, you see that the endochondral ossification takes longer process than the intramembranous ossification. The intramembranous ossification is also less complex because it's formed directly from the mesenchyme that will further be developed into the mature bone cell, which are the osteocytes. But for endochondral ossification, there is an initial formation of a cartilaginous model, which will then later be transformed into a bone. So this process is more complex when compared with intramembranous ossification. So we've tried to highlight the differences between these two processes. And if you have more to add to this list, please, I'll be looking forward to it in the comment section. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope you find this useful. Thank you. Bye.